Good morning again, and welcome to the Backpacktrader in crude oil inventory report session for Thursday, July 7th. Please note the required risk disclosure. This is for education and information purposes only, not financial advice. Trading of this kind carries a significant risk and can be substantial. Please don't start this with capital that you cannot afford to lose. All right. Here's where we are. We're just before. Okay. Should come out in about 10 to 15 seconds. Market's been busy this morning on crude, so we'll see what happens. And there's the bottom of the reaction. Let's see where it goes to. No, it's continuing to go down. Oops, that's not what I wanted to move. This is the one I want to bring down there. That's really about the top of the range so far. We're still less than a minute in. All right, let's call that the top of the range now. About 45 seconds to take before we can take a trade. Unleaded off to the races. Bouncing up into its session highs. Still another 30 seconds. That's a possible get in sync on the short side. 15 seconds. And there is our time. There's our entry order. Money management is down at 103.04, and that stops out. So cancel the trade, cancel the entry order. We poked above the range again. And back down into our initial range. That's a squeeze zone filtered short. And bouncing up again. Looks like And we came up through there and got picked up a long. How long did we have for that? Just 4 seconds back there, so not tradable. So your order would be resting, and that now we have a short that cancels that out, but that was too fast to execute. And a new long. So in the long, and looks like a full stop out. Good morning, Miles. Roger. All right, there's a long that, wow, that punched through in a hurry. Nope, that one's too fast to trade. Crude moving really quickly this morning. We got that long that unfortunately we did get a full stop out on. And this one was too fast to trade. So we're looking for our second trade. And there it is. I was slow getting the order in there. That hit money management, so if you didn't get filled initially, take your order off. That was a 12-second bar, so it should have been in. All right, getting target 2 and 3 for 14 and 20, 34 ticks. Our loss on the first trade was 44, so we're still down 10. We'll need another trade. Based on the reaction, the report obviously came out. All right, we did hit the trail, although we don't use it typically in this trade plan. One more trade to get us even. We're down 10 at the moment. And there's a trade. 103.57. No trigger yet. And going the other way, that's going to close. Yep, that cancels the trade. 2 closes below the balance line. So waiting for a new setup. Good thing that didn't trigger, because it would have been a full stop out. So let's see what we get now. Pretty good sized moves. Too bad we couldn't pick up that trade. 3 seconds and it was gone. New long. 103.51. See if we get a bounce. There it goes. Got through 51. Now let's see if it can continue to stay above the 50 and the 200. This is the last trade. Right. Got a number of people in here this morning that I haven't seen yet. So coming. Okay, now we're getting a bounce off the 200. Let's see if it can process up through the 50 or through the 50-cent level, and not wanting to get through there and move on. There's a close above 50 cent, the 50-inch entry again. $20 and 32 ticks on this trade. So this is a good size trade. There's target 1. That puts us, move the stop to break even. +1. 52. Now, key levels will bring it back to 49, but since we've gotten a target, I don't want to leave risk on, so I will leave that at 52. And actually, it looks like it just went to 53 and stopped out. And I didn't get it moved in time to pick up the stop, but that's okay. So if it continues to go up, I'll just trail along the balance line. And it stopped out anyway. So that finishes our trade session. And because we should have picked up 34 ticks on this short trade that I just didn't execute to get into. That puts us about 11 ticks positive. Should be more than that, I think. 51, it should have been 20. Okay, looks like we had a tick of slippage there. But so yeah, we should have been 12 or 13 ticks positive after that. So that makes it a one and done session on the 8 tick range bar, 8-cent momentum bar for TradeStation. All right, looking at unleaded, let's go back and look at what unleaded did. It was moving around like crazy there. Okay, it was still moving at 11:02. So there is our start time. Definitely not in that short. Quick move up, and then we have it move down. 42. Does it come back up? 44. It does come back up, but I don't think it stayed there long enough to get in. I would call that trade not tradable, because we were back at the entry at 4 seconds after 2 seconds after the setup, and just 7 seconds to this bar. So probably not tradable. Possibly, if you traded it, you're one and done. If you got into it, otherwise you're and actually you would have benefited from not getting into that one because it's a smaller trade. Then you come to this SMA trade, not an ideal SMA setup, but still an SMA setup. 83 to target 2. And where does it go on the trailer? All the way down to 42.78 from 44.29. $151 pips. That's not too shabby. 83 on target 2, 151 on the trailer, 230. That's almost $1,000 trade right there, just for one contract at target and one contract on trail. So one and done session, whichever way it was. Now let's see, was that 42? No, that was unfortunately too fast to trade. This one, so we come to the long here. 6. probably not tradable either. And the short, well, possibly you got in on that pullback right there. It would have been close, and that one is another strong win. 82 ticks on target, 43.31 from 44.49, 118 ticks. Not quite as good as the other one. Fair possibility of getting into that one. If not, then you took, where's that one going to go? It's going to go money management and a partial win. That would be one and done if you're trading target 1, 54 ticks, another 83 tick target 2. And we come back to a long that gives us plenty of time to get in. Target 1. And so we didn't get to, but we got another partial. So that, if you didn't get this trade, then you got 2 partial wins for a POQ. So 8 tick momentum, or 8 cent momentum bar, 8 tick range bar on Ninja, and the 20 tick range on unleaded, both POQ. Let's see. All right, not many bars on Counterpunch 377 tick. Okay, there's the reaction at 11 o'clock. $11.02 filtered trade. That's a squeeze zone filter, so we stay out of that. Then we have the long here. We had a short that hadn't quite, a white short that hadn't fully set up, never ended up with the trade. So we're in this long, and we're still in that long. That's the first trade of the day. Let's see where there's target 1. That's a fairly good sized trade. It's a 66 tick target 1, and a 74 tick risk. Big trade. But that's our first trade out of that session at 11:06. And a couple of add-ons there. No, the momentum on unleaded, yeah, for RB, that's a 20 tick range or a 0.002 momentum. On unleaded. Unleaded's a 4-digit decimal. And this is not Renko. None of this is Renko bars. Yeah, unleaded is a 0.002 momentum bar for TradeStation, or a 20 tick range bar for Ninja. Okay, there's another potential short setup. 103.02, but that is not a setup yet. That is only, you've got the exhaustion dots. That's a white trade, so the cyan line has to cross over the yellow line. And actually, that has never gotten to blue, so I don't think we should be able to get a white trade out of that. Unless it was way back, further back, further back. Yeah, there's where it was, right back here. We got to blue, got that white trade. But it doesn't look to me like that's going to be a valid trade, but it's set. We've got the potential setup, so it must be valid. So that would, yeah, that's 103.62. So that would come to 59 on the stop and reverse plus key level. And given that okay, I'll take 59. That's 2 ticks below the 50 EMA. Looks like so far the cyan line is staying above the yellow. So, and there's another add-on. So I think that should cancel out the possible white trade. Given the size of that trade, I would say take profit at target 1. I mean, that's a $660 target 1 for a single contract. If you take that all the way to target 2, you're looking at 100 ticks. A full dollar move to target 2. As you see this add-on here that has almost the same entry, 103.88 versus 103.83. So the entry's 5 ticks higher, and target 2, which is 54 ticks, nothing to sneeze at there, is still below the target 1 for the trade that we're actually in. And there's another potential white trade sitting right above the 50. I don't like where those are coming up. That's at 69, so 67 would be our stop and reverse if it becomes a trade. The EMA is at 67, so I don't like moving it down 5, but the way that's bouncing off the 50, I certainly don't want to be right on the 50. I want to be a couple of ticks below. So that's going to put it at 65. And that's a filtered trade. Squeeze zone trade. No, it's not a squeeze zone trade. Oh, it's a chop zone filter. So far, no. Well, the stop and reverse actually would take it on the. Yeah, the stop and reverse would take it on the other side of the 50. Now, there's one close above. There's the second close above, so that cancels the trade anyway. So we're still in the long. I would seriously consider going break even at this point since we've hit target 1 for this add-on trade. That being such a big trade. Now, I'm fine with staying with the 66 tick target, but let's cut our risk down and go break even since we've hit target 1 on that trade. Because target 2 on that one was what, 54? Yeah, 54, which will be 59 from the entry that we had. The entry was on that was 5 ticks higher, and setting a new session high. That target 2 is 42, and our target 1 from the original trade is 49. So we got up to 39. I'd say leave your target at the original, but I would be trailing the balance line at this point. So stop at 104.09. That's 26 ticks on the stop already. If you do that, that would be the way I would play this, because that is just an absolutely huge trade that we had on the setup. I picked up money management not from the first one, because that one was it's about 6 ticks below our entry, so I don't want to go too premature there. But with this one that was 5 ticks higher, I'm willing to start using the trailer off of that. So I would be trailing at 104.09. But yeah, we're 30 minutes past the report and have been done with Spotlight for what? Yeah, there's where we stopped out. So yeah, we've been finished with Spotlight for 15 minutes, and we missed target by 1 tick. still 104.09 for the stop at the moment. But given that that's a 66 tick target, I would be taking profit at that point, missing it by one. As our target was 49 and we got to 48. So still have the trailing position on. And that's currently at 09. It looks like it may move up to 14 if we can. Let's see, did we close above there? We closed at 20. Signal line was at 18. Yep, we did close above, so move your stops up to 14. That's not strictly by the book, but that's going to be, assume you got a 60 tick profit out, take profit on the target position, and you just stopped out at 104.14. So 31 ticks on the trailer. That's a $900 trade on a single on two contracts. And technically, you still didn't hit money management off the original trade. But I will settle for that any day. Take it and go on my merry way to trade tomorrow. All right, questions, comments. That wraps it up for all three charts today. Took the 377 tick a little bit longer again. If you chose because you chose to stay out of that trade because it was so big, then your trade should have been the first add-on long, which was a 58 tick target 2, and would have trailed up to exactly where we came out. So that would have been pretty close to, actually you'd have been even better, because you would have been 6 ticks and 37 ticks. So I've been 95. Yeah, you'd actually been just a tad bit better to have taken that one instead. At least so far, because you'd have exited on this reversal setup off the original trade if you didn't. And so that would have been, if you'd played it strictly by the book off the original trade with the 66 tick target 1 that we didn't hit, and since that wasn't officially, that should have been a target. That big a trade, I'm not going to try to push it to 100 ticks. That's just ridiculous. So any way you play it, you should have taken profit on that. So you should be out with around $900 in profit on two positions at a minimum. 900 per position or per contract position. Any questions? I mean, 66 tick target 1 is just an absolute monster. 66 tick target, 74 tick risk. Now that's one that technically with a 2% risk, it should take you 74. That's 148 ticks of risk. That's almost $1,500 risk, which would mean you would need about a what 2%. You need about $75,000 account to make that trade at 2% risk. So chances are, first add-on is your should have been your trade. Is that much more reasonable trade size? First or second, either one, they both end up getting you right around the same point that I called using the target 1 money management from the second add-on from our original entry. Exactly, Roger. Realistically, most people would not be in that first trade just because of the risk that it poses, or that it posed. So I'd say the first add-on is where most people should have been. And that would be where I would expect most people should have played it that way, based on risk. I dare say there are not a whole lot of people in this trade room that are trading with a $75,000 account, but I'm sure there could be a few that could support that kind of risk profile. So that's why I wanted to kind of talk through all of that. All right, folks. Unless there are questions, then I'm going to call that a session, and we will see everybody. I will be in all 5 sessions next week, since Troy will be traveling. We'll be back to a regular Wednesday 10:30 a.m. crude oil session next week. But I will see everybody on Monday. Have a good weekend.